right? A little
Cross
release.
recorded. Fuck.
Oh yeah, wow.
All right, so we're back. Sunday market blitz, like you said, Nick. Little bit of a mix up. Going through the news. Maybe we'll start doing that a little bit more, especially because with TFT, like you guys really got to be cognizant of the news. Not so much on the challenges, but once you do get funded, you really got to be paying attention to that because there are rules around trading the news. So yeah, just be careful around that. Nick's gonna get into his analysis. Just if you guys want to enter, we're gonna have a giveaway. So if y'all want to enter, just post on your IG story, tag the funded trader, tag Forex League, that you're on the Sunday Market Blitz. Let the people know, and then at the end we will pick a winner. And yeah, so I'll leave it up to you, Nick.
Awesome. Let's get into it. So, as we just covered all the news, it's good to be prepared going into the week, right? That's why we do our analysis. That's why we check the news. We don't want to get taken out by some, random news event or some impact news that we could have easily avoided just by making ourselves aware and checking a couple sites here and there. So yeah, what a way to go out. But we try to avoid that. So let's switch over to TA. And we're going to take a look at DXY first. So the first thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to do this on pretty much every pair that I'm going to show you guys, it's pretty much just my method to approaching the chart. I'm going to jump to the daily time frame, clear up all the drawing tools, and just assess the trend, right? That's the only info we really need from the daily. And then we're going to drop down to the 4-hour, take a look at more recent relevant price action, and then we're going to come up with a couple scenarios for the week ahead and then talk through them. So here on the daily, DXY, and again, we don't actually trade DXY. It just makes up for the US dollar, and the dollar makes up for a large percentage of trade. And if you guys have been following the market at all, the dollar's been majorly bullish, and it's been kind of, dragging the rest of the market with it. We've just been seeing these crazy rallies, huge higher time frame moves. So we want to be aware of the dollar, right? It only makes sense. If it's doing something large, making a large move, we're seeing some high volume, we want to be aware of that and then apply that more so as an indicator to our other pairs that we're actually trading, and then use that info to play some good trades, make some good decisions. So very clearly, let's just walk through the structure here on DXY. Again, we're on the daily time frame, and we're seeing characteristics of a bullish trend, right? Higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, and so on and so on. So we can very clearly say this is bullish. There should be nothing on this chart that says to you, hey, this is more of a bearish chart. Just overall, it's been moving upward, right? So with that info, we can now drop to the 4-hour time frame, put on our drawing tools, and take a look at more recent relevant price action, right? Because this is the price action that's going to kind of, dictate where we're going to go for the week ahead, right? These zones are what's relevant for the week that we're getting into. Okay, so here on the 4-hour, we could see that price action is moving up, right? Higher highs, higher lows, just continuing that overall daily trend that we just covered. Up until here, we hit our 110 zone or 110.5, saw a bit of a reversal, came back down to 109.5, and then took this zone out. So it's looking bearish on the 4-hour only, right? But it's still playing in that daily bullish trend. So you can have two different, trends present. Obviously the higher time frames are more significant, so that's why we take a look at those. Okay, so what's possible for this week? Either this 4-hour bearish trend is going to continue, and we'll see the dollar start to slip even more. We want to see price action get below 108.6 with some sort of lower high or retest below to then say to us, we have confidence that this is going to continue lower. All right, now the dollar is bearish for this week. And then we'll look down towards, 107.6 support and then play it from there if price action gets there, right? We'll reanalyze, come up with more scenarios, and then, just follow price action as it continues to form. So the other scenario is that we bounce off 108.6. So it's very likely that we see this react with some bullish pressure. We push back up to 109.5, and then we'll react from there. Now we could take this analysis a step further and say, for us to continue the overall bullish trend on the 4-hour, we need to see something like this, right? Higher low above 109.5, just continuing the movement higher with strong characteristics of a bullish trend, right? We're always looking for structure. That's how we really gain confidence in which direction the market's actually going to move. So this would be more like step 2. Obviously, first price action has to bounce from 108.6, push up into resistance, and then we can, draw those scenarios in where we're then looking for a bounce or break from this zone. So right now, these are the two possibilities. The most ideal, scenarios, which would say to us, price action super clear. We know exactly what's going to happen next. It's just clear price action, right? So that's what these two scenarios represent. All right, and fairly clear. So we can take this information over to our first tradable pair, which is AU. We're going to do the same thing that we did on DXY. Zoom out to the daily time frame, clear up the drawing tools. We don't need anything to be messy. And we're just going to follow price action. What has price action been doing here on the daily? We saw a huge fall off here, formed a lower low, followed by a lower high, touch of the lower low, lower high, lower low, touch of the lower high. Then it started going bullish there. Didn't really form any structure above. So this still remained bearish, right below this point here. You can see the crosshairs. Rejection from there. Then we started bearish again. Lower low, lower high, lower low. Now we're in the next lower high area. So overall, this is a bearish chart. We can then take that information, go to the 4-hour, zoom into more relevant and current price action and see what's going on here. Okay, so here was that lower low we talked about that we just saw on the daily time frame. This is our lowest point, right at 0.67. And now price action is pushing up. So this is now a key zone. Look at this zone right here, 0.685. This is key. This is where our lower high formed. So if we break above this and start seeing structure above, it is now a transition from a 4-hour bearish trend, which we've seen here, right? It would transition into a bullish trend if we start seeing structure above this point, 0.685 and these lower highs. Then we would gain confidence in looking for, strong bullish setups to then enter long on, and then we would target, prior highs and up toward, our 0.7 resistance level. And this is a pretty good trade. I threw the long tool on here. It's just shy of a 4-to-1. It's a 3.75. We're risking 40 pips, looking to get roughly 150. And again, all this would slightly change depending on where the actual, conviction comes in. That's where you would, enter, and then your stop loss would vary slightly. But just for the visual, I'd marked it up at a 3.75. So that's the ballpark of what you'd be getting from this if it does play out that way. So that's one scenario, right? We're at resistance. There's only two ways that price action can play out when we're at resistance. It's either going to reverse or it's going to break, right? So this is the break and continuation of this bullish move here. That's what that would look like. Now, if we reverse, that's fine too, right? That's just going to be an overall continuation of the bearishness that we've been seeing. There'll be an opportunity here as well. And it would look like, so ideally you don't want to enter on high volume. We really want to see this consolidate a little bit longer if we're going to consider it short, and then we can start getting some, clear price action, maybe a lower high, maybe some sort of quick retest or like a wick or something we could then enter short on. And that would be a scenario targeting down towards two levels. First, it would be 0.6775. Hopefully you get a 2-to-1 by that point, depending on where price action really executes. And then down towards the lower low, the daily lower low, which is at 0.67. Let me clear that up for a second so you can see it a little more clearly. Okay, so it's like a two-step trade. 2-to-1 would then turn into, like 4-to-1, 5-to-1 area. Okay, not bad. So there's opportunity whichever way it goes, but you got to be patient. So if we're going to go short, a little bit of consolidation plus conviction, we're in. If we see a clear break of 0.685 with a confirmed higher low above, right? Notice how this popped above and then failed to follow through, right? That's what we need to happen for us to then get into that long scenario. So we're aware of that. That's AU, currently in a waiting phase. Just got to be patient, and we'll see something soon probably. Let's go over to AJ. Same thing, guys. Same method. Daily time frame. Clear up the chart. What's the overall trend, right? What are the characteristics of a bullish trend? Higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. Spent a ton of consolidation here, but still technically bullish. And then we finally broke this range and this consolidation with this rally here. And it looks like we're still heading off to form a higher high, right? So overall bullish, essentially. Very bullish on this chart. So let's go to the 4-hour. Zoom in on this. And this is, again, 4-hour time frame, still bullish. This is just the most relevant current price action for the week ahead. That's why I always look at the 4-hour. I'm a swing trader. The 4-hour time frame pretty much gives me the, the scope for the week ahead. I can see a 4-hour trend, and that's going to exist usually for a week at a time. So I'm holding trades for a couple of days. That's really how I gauge it. If you're looking for, or if you're more of a day trader, you're taking trades, intraday, you can just adjust that concept where you're considering, 1 hour trends, maybe 30-minute trends even. And, that can be applied the same. Okay, I'm just a swing trader, so that's why it's always on like a little bit more of a macro scope. All right, so here on the 4 hour, overall bullish, we just took out this 95 resistance level, which was really nice. This is where that range was. So finally broke above. We got a higher low, but it did consolidate. So I was a little hesitant on this. You never really want to see immediate ranging after you break a level. You really want that energy to kind of continue through a zone where it breaks, retests, spends a little bit of time there, and then continues, with conviction. This spent a little bit of time, a little bit too much time here, but it did, play out. Pushed up, got a higher high, quick retest, huge engulfing, took off from there. And it kind of looks like we haven't formed our higher high yet. This could easily keep pushing and then invalidate these two scenarios. But based on where price action was at this, start of the weekend, close of the market, this is what we got. Right? So the most likely and most ideal to us would be a pullback into, a fib level. 61.8 looks the best because it's also lining up right with 96 support. So it's a big confluence area. You could also see it's the top of the range. So this would be an area of huge interest to us, right? This should be so clear if price action came back, boom, hits this level, reverses, confirms the higher low at the same time, and then gives us, confirmation setups. So like bullish variations, 3 good candles in a row, nice engulfing, morning star, something like that. We can enter on that, and then we would play it back towards the prior high, and then ultimately the negative 27 fib level. So just for the sake of visualizing this trade, we're risking about 50, looking to get 220. So it comes out to a 4.4 to 1 risk reward. Not a bad trade. 1% gets you 4.5 almost. So that's pretty good. That's almost half your challenge, or, could be almost half your challenge. Yeah. Now, let's talk about the other scenario, right? We always like to look at a bullish and a bearish scenario. Obviously, this is far away from being considered bearish, but if we did take out 96 support, got a lower low, quick retest with a confirmed lower high, some sort of new structure below this level, we could then kind of, start looking at this a little different, maybe catch some short positions, but it really depends on the price action at that point. Very far from happening. I mean, just from where this candle is right now, which is live to 60 to 96, it's about, 170 pips. So it's pretty safe to say this is, very extended, needs to see, some normal structure, normal movement, and then we can get into some good trades. All right, cool. Let's move over to UJ. Any questions on anything I covered so far, guys? Just let me know in chat, and either Angela will answer it or I will. All right, let's move over to, what is this, UJ? Yep. It's actually really classic the way this looks. It's super simple, but we'll get to that in a second. Go to the daily first, clear up the drawings, and again, just assess the daily trend. Higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, and looks like we're, headed off to form our next higher high, if not formed already. But overall, super bullish, as we can see. So now let's go to the 4 hour and just zoom in on current price action. So this rally right here is of interest to us because this is the most recent. It actually goes back to almost the beginning of August. So it's been happening a while. This area is getting a bit outdated for us, right? We're almost a month away now. We don't really need that information because we're all so far away from it. Price action wise, we're almost 700 pips away from these zones down here. So you don't really need that as much, but it has been super bullish. We did spend a lot of time in here, a lot of ranging, tried to push higher, came back down for some structure on the daily. We hit 133. And this is actually where structure formed on the daily. It took a while. We're waiting through all of this here to finally come back and form structure down here. And now it's moving higher. So we actually fib this. This is the 100% to the 0%. So this whole leg is one measurement. But we failed to form structure yet, all the way up until this point. So from the beginning of August to now on the 4 hour. So that's obviously a little concerning, right? That means there's a lack of, good scenarios, lack of high probability setups. It just makes trading conditions a lot more difficult when a pair keeps running, right? Especially for a month. So we're finally pulling back now. We spotted our confluence area right at 38.2, lines up with 140 support. I wouldn't mind continuing the trend, entering on, the first structure we've seen in a month. So that would be, we'd have a lot of confidence in entering on that. That'd be interesting to us to get in on. We just look for that higher low to confirm. Some wicks, maybe even a little consolidation, and then some nice setups to then enter long on, right? Like we talked about, the engulfings, the bullish variations, the morning stars, somewhere in there, and then we'll play it back toward, 0% in our prior high. And this comes out to be roughly a 4-to-1. You guys know this will slightly vary depending on where price action comes in and what kind of consolidation we may see. But yeah, for the visual, almost a 4-to-1, not bad. It's going to be somewhere in that ballpark. Now, if price action keeps dropping, let's say we fail to catch price action at 140, takes that level out, we got a lower low. You need to see, you could refib that as a bearish move, and then you need to see structure below 140 because you can't afford to be faked out on this, guys, nor should you, be faked out on it. It's been super, super bullish for so long. You're not going to get caught on the first attempted break. You want to make sure it's confirmed structure. So if that does happen, you would just simply reverse your fibs, right? Draw up from where, conviction kicked in. Let's just say for there right now. Hopefully we get a low and then we see 38.2. Then we can flip our position. But yeah, don't get caught on, UJ looking bearish. Just really wait for structure. All right, so these are the two scenarios. UJ, 140 is the key zone. Be aware of that. EJ looks super similar. A little bit more reasonable because UJ is just kind of, a lot more extended, a lot more dramatic than the other JPY pairs right now. So let's go to the daily on EJ, see what the overall trend is. And what are we seeing? Higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. We did see this higher low break here. That was our first lower low, lower high, lower low. So we were bearish. We consolidated a little bit, and then we recently broke a lower high right here. So it's looking like we're back to bullish. Okay, so but we've yet to see structure. So that's interesting, right? We saw the rally. Where's the structure going to form now? So we are bullish. Let's go to the 4-hour now. See what that looks like on this time frame. Let's just zoom this in, get a clear view. All right, cool. So we went bullish off 137, right? This is where that lower high formed on the daily. So we're moving down. We took out 137 right here. Lower low, lower high, then we consolidated. Then here's the break of the lower high, right? It was also a range, broke it, and then we've been rallying since then. So we threw a fib on it from conviction, 100%, 0%. This actually should be a little bit higher. 0%. And, we're looking for structure. That's really where we're at. We need to see 38.2 hit. Nice confluence area right at 142. So this little pocket here, price action could fall, give us a higher low, throw some wicks. Again, maybe even a little bit of consolidation, something like this. Just a little bit of choppiness. Nothing too much, but just enough where the market can kind of catch its breath and then continue with the move, right? That's normal market movement. You don't want to just see volume kind of all over the place, up, down, up, down, up, down. It's just, that's ridiculous. So normal market movement, that would be ideal. Price action drops, hits 140, consolidates, continues higher. And that's looking like at least a 3-to-1 risk reward. So again, you risk 1%, you get over 3% back. Not bad at all. So that's the most likely, that's the bullish scenario. Obviously, price action could just fail to form structure and break right through 144 and keep rallying. In that case, we can't really do much until, we wait for the higher high to actually form, and then we'll catch it on the way back, reanalyze, look for structure at that point. But yeah, this is what we got right now. And that's all we can do is follow what, what price action gives us. Now, if we are to consider this bearish, what has to happen? We can forecast that far ahead, or we can, just draw in some scenarios and see what the most ideal scenario for us would be to consider, shorts on EJ. And that would be a break of 142, right? A clear break. I wouldn't even mind 140 being hit before it came back up and then form structure. All we need is really a lower high below 142 and then some clear, conviction, heading back down. So that's one scenario. Obviously, that is very far from happening, right? We need to see reactions at 142 first. But yeah, that's EJ. Super, super bullish. So that's really all you can do when you have this much volume. Just got to wait and then find structure. the volume's good when you catch it. I mean, if you're in on this trade, good for you. But the volume kind of sucks when you're waiting, because the more volume, the larger or the higher the push, the larger the the leg, the more time it's going to take for it to pull back and then form structure. So that's kind of the downside to too much volume, and then obviously too little volume is no movement. It's just flat line. So there's like a sweet spot with volume. Too little, too much, just right in the middle. And that's where, good market movement, resides and good trades are. So we're going to wrap this up with gold, at least for my analysis. Then I'm going to pass it off to Angelo. Let's go to the daily first. Clear up these charts because they look like crap on the daily. It's all distorted, but that's okay. All we need is the overall trend, right? So we have pretty much a bearish chart now. We're seeing lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, beautiful lower high right here. That's such a great break and retest of the zone. And then down towards the prior low. So overall bearish. Gold's been kind of in a slump since we broke this range over here, right at 1920. We took this level out and it's been bearish since that point. So let's now go to the 4-hour. Again, this is more relevant price action for the week for us. It's super bearish, very clear channel there up until, recently. What's going on now? We've been seeing a little bit of ranging. 1695 has been holding at support. 1720 has been holding at resistance. We are in the upper part of the range, so we have to play it, at resistance. Really all we can do, play it where it lies, right? And what happens at resistance at the top of a range? Really only two things can happen. Either it's going to bounce or it's going to break, right? More likely it's going to bounce because it is a range. We can't really ever bet when a range is going to break. We just know it will break at some point. Until then, it's going to bounce. So that's the most likely scenario. It'll just bounce back down to 1695, which again is in line with the overall bearish trend anyway. So it's really not the worst thing in the world. You could catch a nice trade out of that. And I threw the short position on here, the short tool, coming into about 3.3 to 1. So you risk 1%, you get roughly 3.3 back. So that's not bad. For us to start considering gold more bullish, simply a bullish break of the range with a higher low above. So notice how this broke above, but didn't form a higher low, right? It just pushed up, came right back down. You want to see that above 1720. That would be the most ideal scenario, the clearest structure in order to consider this, bullish, at least on the 4-hour. And then we would look to 1740, reanalyze, look for the bounce or break from there, and, so on. So those are actually all the pairs I got for you guys. I covered DXY, AU, AJ, UJ, EJ, and gold. And I actually didn't post these yet. I have them all saved right over my weekly analysis tab. I'm going to put them out right after this. Right, they'll be live on TradingView all week. They're put in the Telegram and Discord if you guys, want to refer to these, as the week goes on. But yeah, that's it. I'm going to pass it off to Angelo. We'll see what he's got. Thanks, guys. I think Angelo covers EU, or you
Yeah,
haven't.
Yeah, I'm
right?
not gonna cover EU. I'm gonna go over a bunch of other major pairs though. But yeah, good job with the analysis, Nick. If you guys, like you said, wanna check in, he's gonna post all of his charts up in the Forex League Discord and the Forex League Telegram. So if you guys wanna go ahead and check those after the call, you can check it there, or this will be recorded and put on YouTube shortly after this call, so you guys can check it out. So just as a reminder to you guys, if you want to enter in the giveaway, just post on your IG story that you're on the Sunday Market Blitz, tag the Funded Trader, tag Forex League as well. The Funded Trader IG currently is down. We're currently locked out of it, but we're working on getting it back. So make sure you tag Forex League in there. We'll repost some of you guys and I'll pick the winner after. So we're going to jump in. I'm going to hop over and we're going to get started with DXY. We've already looked over some fundamentals for the week. So pretty much last week we had mapped out DXY and we were looking at two different options here, either hitting this level and moving to the upside or, moving to the downside. As we can see on the 4-hour time frame here. So let's go back. We actually had this gap down, which is pretty interesting. So I was actually forecasting this to continue to go bullish. It was kind of two scenarios here. either break this trend line, get below the red, then we would be pretty bearish. As you can see, the thing came down, actually found support here, and then it just acted as though we formed this like head and shoulders pattern, just immediately forms this right shoulder. So I'm going to delete this. This is the scenario that has played out. At this point, we're looking for it to continue to be bearish. It has broken below the red area. For those that haven't been on the Blitz before, I like to just mark out my resistance and my support levels on the weekly time frame. I use support and resistance looking left, and then I zoom in a little bit more. As we can see last week with how price action formed, we have this spinning top candle right here. So that's a bearish like confirmation candle. This is a bullish trend overall. This is at the end of a push. So I am expecting some sort of retracement, maybe at a minimum back down to the previous high area, which is right around this 108 level. So I'm forecasting at this point DXY to be pretty bearish. And like I said, at a minimum to come down into this previous high area. And then from there, you know, maybe it either consolidates, moves to the upside, or just breaks and then moves to the downside. So this is what I'm looking for right now in DXY, considering that DXY is bearish or potentially bearish for this week. Let's look at one scenario with GU. So coming back up to the weekly time frame, let's look at this. So GU is clearly very bearish. If we just zoom out a little bit more, GU is clearly very bearish. I have my resistance level up here. This is not as relevant though at the moment. So I'm just going to remove this just to clear things up. And then at the bottom here, we've got support. Reason that we marked support in this area is if we go all the way back into this area, we had marked it because we had some resistance here. You could barely see it. If I zoom in, you can see it more. We're just in an unprecedented area for GU. We're extremely low. Prices never broke 1.05. We're currently at 1.16. So we were definitely in a very interesting area. And this is the only level of resistance that acted previously. So I am monitoring that area, zooming out again. So I'm monitoring as price kind of falls into that area. That's my next level of support that I will see what price does. In the meantime, we have a few things kind of going on here. We have these more minor levels down here. Last week we didn't want to take any sells where we were. I was waiting for it to retrace. So we haven't activated any orders. So I'm just going to delete all these things. We're just going to zoom out and see where we're at. So looking at the weekly time frame, clearly a downtrend. We clearly just made a new low. We just formed some type of bullish confirmation candle or reversal candle right here, spinning top. So price consolidated, broke structure. Now it's pushing to the upside. This is just the previous low point. Not like a major level or anything, but definitely a previous level of support that could now turn into resistance. So at the moment on GU, it's actually breaking, to the upside. It's breaking into a bit of an uptrend, which is not what we had originally forecasted. Originally we wanted to potentially take a sell in either this area or in this area, but more ideally in this area. So I had some sell limits placed up here. And then I was pretty much targeting this next level support. And then my stops were pretty much like above this high right here. Will I continue with this idea, considering this has not been triggered yet? I don't personally like how this downtrend that had been forming. I mean, you could draw trend lines 10 different ways, so I don't really like trend lines, but clearly you could just see, we're in a downtrend. You could draw it here, you could draw it here, draw it wherever, right? So we're in a downtrend now. We broke into this uptrend. I don't love taking a sell limit when we just broke the trend. This isn't like that major of a level for me to just take a sell limit. Like I like to take them more around these red areas. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to remove this. I'm going to leave that one up there because that's the previous low on the weekly. We're going to see how this reacts. So we're going to wait for this thing to come up more into this area. If we start to get some sort of reversal here in the form of we get some consolidation and then it breaks. Just play this a bit more conservatively. Sure, we could get trigger happy, take entries around this area. But I don't personally love that idea. Knowing that DXY, we just forecasted it to be bearish, meaning that the dollar's going to lose strength, does actually give a good indication of this thing going pretty bullish. Now, on the flip side, say you wanted to trade this on a lower time frame, and start to really get into some moves. Lower time frame, all the way back here, we saw a bit of a transition, broke, retested. So I love to get in on these retests if I'm going to actually trade this. So yeah, I mean, pretty much what you'd want to do, I wouldn't enter unless price like breaks above here and then does like a little retest, and then you'd be targeting up there. So this is more of like a short-term move. If you're trying to trade GU to the upside, you could throw stops here. This is a 2.5 risk reward trade right there. And the only reason I'm doing that is because I'm fairly confident that this thing is going to push up. Like, I'm anticipating this thing just pushing higher at this point. That's the only reason why I would consider taking that lower time frame trade. I'm more going to stay on the 4-hour time frame and just wait for this thing to push to the upside. So for me, no really trades on GU. Let's come over to UCAD. So UCAD, we're just following this along because we had been in this trade already. Coming to the weekly, let's just zoom out a bit and see where we're at overall. So weekly time frame has been trending a bit to the upside, nothing like too crazy here. Then we had all this fuckery that went on, and then it finally broke out, made a new high, and now it came back. So I'm anticipating this thing to continue to push to the upside based on where we're at. As you can see, we're in this channel. It just hit the top of this channel right here, and now we're starting to see some rejection from the top of the channel. Overall, this thing has been bullish. So let's look at weekly price action, because that's what I like to base. When I come on the weekly, I look at three things. Where are we in regards to my red zones? What is price action? What is the trend? The trend is pretty bullish at the moment. Price action is telling me that we just have like a bearish engulfing candle or some sort of bearish break of structure on the lower time frame. And then our red zone is all the way down here. So looking at it like this trade that we were in previously, this one right here, it did end up going 2-to-1. I always like to move stops to break even at 1-to-1. Whether profit was taken on this one or not, at this point, we just shouldn't be in this trade. This one was a trade idea that we had, I think, last week to scale in, but there was just no confirmation here. So we're just going to delete that. And then looking at it just kind of clearly, let's take this off. Clearly, we were in an uptrend. Then this thing started to break. Right here, we had a bit of a head and shoulders pattern here, broke. So now we are clearly, in my opinion, in a downtrend. So what I will wait for at this point is I will not personally take a trade until price comes back into my red area. This is an area where I know price could reverse at with a lot of volatility. I would not take a trade until we get into this area, we see some rejection, and then you're throwing stops there. You're retargeting this area. Ultimately, you're retargeting making a new high point. This is like a true swing trade. So in the meantime, if you wanted to short this thing down into this level, do it by all means. Come to the 30-minute, come to one of these time frames. I don't see something that clear on this time frame, so I personally wouldn't do that. But this is my trade idea, for GU. As you can see, GU UCAD not really near where it needs to be for me to enter, which is fine. So I'm just gonna stay forecasting this one. So let's see, that's UCAD. Let's hop over to NU. All right, so NU we had, let's see, we had the third, or when was it? The fourth. So this is where last week opened up. and pretty much we were waiting for a break. Looking on the 4-hour time frame, we were waiting for price to break above. We had mapped out this like reverse head and shoulders. We were waiting for price to break above here, retest, and go long. As you guys can see, that never happened. Followed it up with an engulfing push to the downside. So where are we at right now? Let's just clear all this up. This is me just doing analysis live. Haven't even looked at this much for the week. Again, start on the weekly time frame. I always look at what are my levels. So I have this red zone down here. We have this area. We have this area. Those are all based on resistance or support areas, resistance areas. This one as well, if I were to zoom back. What is the trend? Trend is bearish, so we really want to be trading with the trend. Right now, we're at a low point, just formed this like reversal candle right here. So we're obviously having a lot of rejection, and then coming down to the 4-hour. Like on the weekly, this tells me like I don't exactly want to short this right now. Like this is probably gonna hop up, come back to a level of resistance, search for more orders in this area. So coming down to the 4-hour and looking, this is that, remember that 4-hour candle was that huge wick. So we had a spike to the upside, spike to the downside, recovered in the middle. So that's what that candle is really showing us. And this is a bit of a break. We were going to the downside, forming lower lows and lower highs. Now we just had a bit of a break of structure. So I'm not doing anything on this until it comes up into this level. That's the next area that I would look to short this. Now, if you want to take a long, remember, we're forecasting DXY to be short for the week, which would mean the New Zealand dollar would be increasing in strength versus the US dollar. If you wanted to take a position on this, sure, you can come down to the 30 minutes of the 1-hour time frame. You can justify, getting in on a trade here. I personally won't be doing that. There is about 60 pips to the upside to get on this. I'm more going to be waiting once price comes back into my area of interest, this area which has had a lot of volatility previously. Then on the weekly, I can make sense of, all right, we're back at this previous low. We're back at an area of resistance. We're looking for a new lower high to be made to push to the downside, go to the 4-hour, wait for a break or some sort of rejection, and then take that next trade. And remember, if this thing does push down DXY as anticipated into this level, and then all of a sudden it starts to find support, mess around here, maybe it breaks to the upside. We're just kind of correlating DXY with all these pairs, with GU, with UCAD, now with NU. So yeah, those are the three major pairs I'm going to go over. I'm going to hop into GJ next. So we're going to hop up to the weekly time frame. This thing last week really had a week last week. I mean, we were waiting for this thing to pop up because going into the week, which was right around here, we were waiting for price to hop up and come to our level of resistance. As you can see, no resistance here, no price action indicating that there should have been a sell at all. And coming up to the weekly time frame, again, looking at three things. I'm looking at my resistance levels, price action, and the trend. Trend, bullish, right? It's been bullish. Although we did hit this resistance, look at all this rejection to the downside. We were trying to ride this trend to the downside, but just was struggling. And then it finally just like bursted to the upside here, obviously broke this trend line. And now we're back in a very interesting area, right? So GJ is back at this level, which it has failed to break 2 times previously. I mean, third time could be the charm here, could be the time this thing actually breaks. Personally, this is not a setup that is like my best setup in the entire world, where price is now in our red area, but it has already been here twice and it just came up with a ton of volatility, within a couple days, moved up 3%. So there's definitely buyers in this market. For me to sell, I would need to see some type of aggressive push to the downside, right? And then actually try to capture an order once it retests. I'm always just waiting for those retests. And then on the flip side, I'm not trying to take buys on this personally. I think there is an opportunity. Like if you did want to get really aggressive with this, this would kind of be the position. you'd swing trade this, you're at the level, you'd go back up to the weekly, and then you're basically anticipating like this thing just crushing and making an entirely new high point. You target here first, and then you probably can zoom out and start to look left and look for other levels. I'm not personally like that bullish on GJ, interested if you guys are a little more bullish. I'm more on the side of like this could find resistance again and move to the downside, but that's just me. I'm going to leave this on here. This is just a trade idea. You could be very conservative with this, and literally if you just look left, you could lower these targets quite a bit. You could also decrease your stop loss a little bit. I have it definitely a bit wide right here, so you could definitely decrease the stop loss like this area. So this is like an interesting kind of trade, just going along with the weekly. A lot of volatility did form this bullish engulfing, here in the red zone. So it is, definitely an indicator. So I'm going to leave this here, but I'm more bearish on this than anything. I think it's going to keep pushing the downside, but just a trade idea on GJ. And then last but not least, we have Nas 100. So going into the week, we basically wanted Nas. If we go back to, let's see, so I can't do it. So if we go back to last week, this is like right when we were analyzing. So I wanted price to come up and retest this previous high and then look for a sell. It nearly came up to that level, missed it by, only a little bit, missed it by 0.3%, and then it ended up hitting the target, which obviously, sucks, but taking that off, we were looking for it to come into the red area, find some sort of rejection, and then push. So this is why these red areas for me are just so key, because they're just based on weekly zones, which are previously acting with a lot of volatility. So you can see here, resistance, support. Here, support, resistance right there. So this is just an area where price comes to, flies off of previously. Look at this area, flies off of, right? Resistance. So I'm always expecting a lot of volatility in those areas. On the weekly, Nas just formed a bullish engulfing. Definitely broke that resistance here as well. So trend is not exactly like that clean or too clear. It has been bearish overall, but we are seeing some bullish price action. And the next area where a lot of orders are going to sit is just up in this area, 1300. So coming to the 4-hour, clearly you see trend is broken, right? And now we're just all the way like flying at this previous high. So I'm just anticipating Nas to move up, to continue to move up to this 1300 level. That is my idea on Nas. If any of you guys are going to be trading Nas, this week, definitely, be on notice that it hit a serious level of support. It's showing a ton of volatility, bullish volatility. Most likely will continue to the upside. So again, just be aware of that. So that's my last pair for this week. BTC, I mean, this thing is, I'm not margin trading this or anything, but like this thing obviously just closed actually extremely bullish, huge candle right here. And I think this week we're going to continue to see some volatility with BTC, almost a 10% close on that candle. And we have not seen that type of volatility. Let's see. We have not seen that type of volatility to the upside on BTC really at all, recently. We've been seeing that to the downside though, very consistently. Obviously this candle was fucking massive, 20% down. So we've been seeing these huge legs to the downside, but we have not been seeing that big of a push to the upside. This sure will be the deal of the week. Yeah. Low day pullback. Yeah, I mean, ideally waiting for the pullbacks on Nas definitely would be ideal. But they're just pushing that high. So BTC, I mean, guys, I'm personally on the side of BTC coming down more. I think there's going to be a lot of volatility coming into the end of the year. I mean, if BTC climbs back up to 30, that is going to be just such an interesting play. If BTC does manage to come up into this area, don't really know what to think if it comes in that area. I mean, BTC just when it moves, it's gonna move, and it's gonna move very swiftly to the upside. Will this be the BTC rally? I mean, we have not seen this type of rejection, at least, for several months since March, so 5 or 6 months now. Had a similar pattern where we found support, pushed down, found support, pushed up, and then we just lost so much volume. So I'm keeping it clean, BTC, not saying to buy right now. I'm more on the side of being bearish. I think there's a lot of orders sitting at 14, like thousands of orders are sitting at 14. So I really believe that BTC is going to hit 14. So let's sit back. It's so interesting, like how much, like I have obviously with the strategy, I've got bunch of BTC right now, 200K in BTC. And it's just interesting, with the strategy or with the movement, because this thing just moves a little bit. Like this move right here pretty much was like in my account brought it up like 20K or something. Like it's just ridiculous. So this thing moving to this is gonna be wild. So dollar cost average, guys, if you don't, have a lot, like put in literally like $100, $200. Dollar cost average at these levels. If this thing does move, as anticipated, you could obviously see my strategy is just the dollar cost average literally until the day I die. And as you see, the lower it gets, my targets are just 100. A lot of people are targeting 150. I mean, this is just by no means do we know if it's going to get there. But based on me putting in at least the 200 that I have now, if it does manage to get up into the 100 area, I would have, it would be like 360. It'd be a lot, 450, 650. So it'd be like 200, 650. So the risk reward is definitely there. Risk reward is definitely there. This is been the McDonald's strategy. There's gonna be a new name soon. Gonna be a new name soon. This thing could become the Titanic. This thing could become the
Oh,
rocket ship.
God. Call it the
It's gonna
Starlink.
be the new, like I'd say right now, this is just like the fucking, I don't even know this thing at this point. We're gonna change the name. Like I'm gonna put just the gauntlet. This thing's
Yeah,
just,
yeah. Thank God. GA.
I don't know how to
GAU.
I don't know how to spell it.
Yeah. There you
GAU.
go. Yeah.
The gauntlet strategy. We've been getting fucked around in here quite a bit. So we're
Yeah,
gonna
just a little bit, but there's so much, the math supports it, guys. There's so much upside potential. We don't pull shit out of our ass. It's the math is behind it. It's it pays the dollar cost average because I mean this example shows it. We've gone over this a bunch of times. If you dollar cost average the decline, by the time you get back to the prior high, you'll have a lot more than you even started with, like multiple times more.
Yeah, let's talk about a fucking risk reward trade.
Right? Yeah, exactly. If you don't believe, if you believe BTC is going to zero and it'll be wiped off the face of the earth, then don't invest. If you think BTC is gonna be around for a while, then that's it. That's all you really need because that's the only thing that would make you lose all your money is if BTC completely got erased, off the map. And we'd be in the same boat as you anyway. So, along with many, many other people. But yeah, I've been dollar cost averaging since 2017. And it's, at first made a good amount at first, right? Then it came back down. We rode that for a couple of years. Then it shot up again. Same thing again, and then up to 60K, and now we're on the decline again. So it's it's just got these waves. You got to ride these waves, and if you can, keep your cool, keep your patience, and have an actual goal in mind and a target to hit, then you'll get there. Anyone who was wiped out or is talking bad about crypto or BTC, whatever, it's because they remortgaged their house and maxed out all their credit cards and put it on BTC at the wrong time. You know, if
Yeah.
you truly treat it as like long-term investment, it'll pay dividends. It really
This
will.
is the big daddy. The
XRP. Oh yeah.
the XR, yeah, the XRP. Let's take the XRP if it hits 20 cents. This one could be the granddaddy of them all.
Oh yeah. XRP. I mean, that's the whole argument too behind like BTC. How many more times can it go through, 2x, 3x, and as the numbers get larger, that becomes less likely. You're only going to have so many of these opportunities like BTC from 1,000 to 20,000 the first run. That's 2,000x. That's crazy. Or 2,000%. That's wild, And XRP is in that zone. It's in that pocket where it's a big coin. It's like a major coin, but it's still relatively, low value wise. We saw it hit $2. If this does even reach, if you go from $1 to $5, it's 5 times your money. For that to happen on BTC, we need to go from 20K to 100K. And then what about at the 100K point, right? To see that again, it's 100K to 500K. So, if you can find a sweet spot. So like I believe XRP is in a good spot. Ethereum's even a really good spot. Some of these other altcoins that have great projects, they're in good spots too, where they're all like, valued around $5, where there's still a ton of upside potential. And then there's always that statement, right? Is the most popular crypto, right? The one that's going to be widely used, is still yet to be created, right? We're thinking 30, 40 years down the line. That's still yet to be created. This is still such a new market, there's so much opportunity and potential,
So
for these ones to grow.
somebody said in the chat, if BTC max RP average cost is like 19 cents, yeah, it's fire. BTC would potentially wipe out so many accounts. So that statement, honest, in my opinion, is just so false. Like if BTC legit died, right? Looking at the total market cap of crypto, like not even BTC, but just crypto in general, total market cap is 1 trillion, right? You would think that's a lot of money, right? I don't know if Apple's market
I
cap
think their
on here.
cap, I think you're right. Let me check.
Apple's market cap is like 2 trillion or maybe 3.
Yeah, it's 2.5 trillion. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So the whole crypto market is smaller than Apple's market cap.
Exactly. That should be an alarming piece of information to all of us. It's still so new. And even if let's say BTC does go away in 15, 20 years, right? That's not a bad thing necessarily. It served its purpose, and now there's going to be other coins. Technology is improving so much for us to cling onto, a 30-year-old piece of tech at that point wouldn't really make much sense. So, the biggest coin, the biggest crypto, is still yet to be, created personally.
Yeah. No, in my opinion, it's just like BTC, crypto in general, there needs to be more regulation around the industry. And then you're going to see the world of institutions, funds, banks, financial managers, investment management companies. Then they're going to all start to include crypto into their portfolios for all of their clients. And then the market cap's going to skyrocket, right? The market cap's
Exactly.
going to go up, just inherently by all the money that's going to be pouring into the industry. And at that point, BTC, right now, BTC is worth, if it maxed out at 60K and the market cap was 3 trillion, I mean, that thing could reach like literally half a million. Like it's not too far-fetched that if the market cap 10x's and BTC could 10x.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, and if we want to translate it over to Forex every single day is doing like 2 to 4 times the volume of the entire crypto market's worth. That's insanity, guys. That's such a huge number. On a daily basis, it's moving more than the entire crypto market. Like that's just insanity. And to Angelo's point, all the big money, believe it or not, they're scared of crypto. They don't see it as a safe investment, and that's where the big money likes to go. Once they can include that in their portfolio, then we could see the whole market 10x. Like, it's insane. It's really, really small in comparison still right now.
Yeah, so just look how correlated like the market cap of crypto in general is with BTC. So as more money flows into crypto in general, BTC is gonna it's kind of like the index. BTC is the main index of the entire portfolio of crypto. As more money's coming in, a lot of it's obviously coming into BTC, but there's money pouring into alternative coins as well, and things are gonna go up. So
Yeah, it's definitely the index right now for sure, and it will be probably for a while.
yeah. So guys, that's it. Sunday Market Blitz. Post us on the stories if you want to get in on the giveaway. I'm going to pick a winner after this. Hope everybody has a good week this week. Few things going on with Funded Trader. We have a promotion. Royal challenges are 15% off. There are 2 giveaways going on. One of them is for $1,000. The other one, I believe, is for 100K Royal challenge. So if you guys want to get in on those, just check the TFT Discord. Forex League wise, we have currently, I believe it's 55% off the lifetime membership. So if you guys want to get in the lifetime membership is 55% off. Check the telly and the Discord for that. And other than that, hope you guys enjoy the week. Thanks for hopping on, and we'll catch you guys in the next session.
Take care, guys. Peace.
Peace out, everybody.